Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, TheRumpledOne, coming to you on Thursday, October the 6th. The year's 2022. Let's talk trading. Higher low, lower high box trade with Walmal. As always, these videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine. Walmal, we had a trader say, hey, can you do a video about those higher low, lower high boxes that you're always talking about? So, trader, this video is for you. So if you're wondering, higher low, lower high. So what we do is, or what the indicator does, is it looks back X number of bars and it figures out what was the highest low and then what was the lowest high. And I usually use 34 because that's what the three-level ZZ indicator that puts the three balls out there and the one ball and two balls. Well, the three ball, that setting is 34. So that's why I use that number. Now, to set this up, it's pretty simple. You use a copy of TROHL5, and what I usually do is I'll change the indicator tag because sometimes I'll have more than one instance of the indicator, and so you have to let it know that, hey, this is different than the other one. And then what you come down here is you turn off high and low, and so all these are false. And then you drag down and you can, right here, show higher low, lower high, set that to true. And then you come down here where the shade starts and it says shade it to true. And then for my bars, 34, and I usually have the period set to current. And your shade is down here. I pick sienna. So that sets it up. And basically, you want to trade when price is leaving the box. So, Walmal, how about you put your spin on it for the boys and girls and non-binary traders out there?
Yeah, basically, you covered it pretty well in terms of how setting it up, and that's great. The only thing I do sometimes a little bit different than what you suggested is that what I'll do is I will go and put out there, and you can set this up within HL5 as well, and that is that I will trade off of a 1 minute chart, but I'll trade off of a 5 minute chart, but I'll have the settings for the 1 minute. So in other words, I'm going back to 34 bars or 34 1 minutes as opposed to going back 34 5 minutes. So what I'm looking at, like you said, what that's really doing is you're putting a box right where your three balls would be, but I'm looking at it on the 5 minute chart, and I'm looking for the three balls where they would place on the 1 minute chart. Why do I do that? Honestly, I really don't have a good reason other than when I was first learning how to do this, I wanted to see more trade opportunities, and this gave me more trade opportunities. That was the biggest reason I did it. And then it turned out that it was actually pretty successful doing it that way, because when I was trying to do this with the 1 minute chart, and just going back and looking at for the three balls on the 1 minute chart or looking for these boxes on the 1 minute chart, I was getting a lot of false trades. Excuse me. But if I then added the bias of the 5 minute candle, then it was sort of like, I still got false trades. You're always going to get, false trades, but the number of false trades dropped dramatically, and so that's how I go and do it, and so now there are two ways to do it. You can, in HL5, I forget exactly how to do that, and maybe later on I'll go and play with this and figure it out, and I'll post a comment, on how to go and set that up. But you can, but the other way to do it is just put up two charts and just put up your 5 minute chart, and that way you know what your color is, or use your multimeter, so that you know what the color is of your 5 minute candle, and then you only take the trades in the direction of your 5 minute candle. So what do? You already said it, Tiro, where you're trading out of the box. And there's two ways you can trade out of the box. The first way, then, I think the way this was intended originally is, when you're trading, let's say you get a lower high a low high box on the bottom.
Well, actually,
Okay.
we have one a higher low on the top right now.
Okay. All right. And so what you'll do is you trade back in towards the middle between the two boxes. So you take a breakout trade when you come out of that box. And like I said, I only want to go. Let's say I'm doing this on a 1 minute. I only want to go and make sure that I've got the 5 minute going in the same direction that I'm going in. So if I'm going short, I want to make sure I've got a black 5 minute candle. If I'm going long, I want to make sure I've got a white 5 minute candle. And it just that just helps me out a lot. Now, the other way to trade this is, just because you got a 3 ball on the chart does not mean that it can't go and extend that 3 ball even further down. And so you can also go and, take the trade out of the bottom of the box or out of the top of the box, in other words, away from the middle. And that's just another way of doing it. Again, same thing. Make sure that your 5 minute is going in the same direction that you're going in. What I also like to do is I like to go and look at the 30-minute candle and make sure that, not 30 minute, I'm sorry, the hourly candle, and look at the hourly candle. So if I'm going and I'm taking a trade, I want to make sure that, I'm going in the same direction that the hourly candle seems to be going as well. It's just again, it's just another little filter that you that put on just to go and help you out. Hopefully that was a kind of a little bit rambling, but hopefully that helps a little bit.
Right. Now, what I did was I showed the traders how to set this up where you can make the 1 minute stick right here. So the other thing is what you want to really look at is, as Walmal said, a lot of times we'll have one of the candle color multimeters up here. I just put this up on the flip-flop template just because one of the things that I know you like to do is when you see a flip-flop box inside a higher low, lower high box.
Yeah.
But what happened? Yeah, but I was just going to say what had happened was we put in a flip-flop, or rather a higher low box, and then it went out the top side. I guess it was 2 candles ago, and so because we got price breaking to the upside right now.
Yeah, and what's nice if you get a flip-flop at the same time, it's sort of like that's usually a very, very good place to enter. And as we see right now on the chart, it would have been a very nice place to go and enter. Could have made some money there. Yeah, and it's a lot of times, Tiara, you know this as well as I. The reality is that all we're trying to do is just get what? A slight edge. That's all we're trying to do is get a slight edge. And what we've seen is that over time, this gives us a slight edge. It's not going to go, each and every one of these trades, they're not going to break the bank, But the thing is, it's a nice way that you can go and pick up a couple of pips, and which is nice. Now, the other thing that as a little added type of tidbit is that, once you get to once you get into, I call it the white space between, because my charts are white. But to get into the white space, in other words, you're between the two boxes. Once you get to the midpoint area between the two boxes, you start looking and saying, okay, is this a place that I need to be looking to get out? This time it looks like it was fine. You didn't have to. But at the same time, there's a lot of times you'll stumble right there in the middle of it, and so you just pay attention to it and say, okay, here's a place where it may stumble and come right back down to the box. Because a lot of times it gets into that mid area and it comes right back to the box, which is a good thing, because what sometimes you can do is you can go and say, okay, it's starting to stumble here. Okay, make the decision. Okay, I'm going to get out. It comes back to the box, and then you can go and enter in a second time. And that can help out tremendously. You want to take a second trade.
Right. For some reason, my chart seems to have frozen up a tad bit. Oh, I think, no, that's not the reason why. It just seems the price just sitting here for some strange reason.
Mine is all the way up to 1.1280.
Oh yeah, I guess mine is stuck for some reason, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah, I mean, it just, in fact, what we did was we actually went from the higher low box to the lower high box, so we're inside the lower high box now. Um, and this particular time it didn't stumble, in that white space, and that's okay. It didn't stumble. That's fine. And you would, but the potential here, at least on my chart, TRO and I are using different brokers, but on my chart, you could have made 10, 20, 30 pips on this trade, Now, this is unusual. I'm going to put that caveat out there right now. Normally, you don't, especially in 2 5-minute candles, you don't make 30 pips. That's an unusual thing. Well, first of all, we're in unusual times right now. That's the first thing. And the second thing is it happens, It's sort of like, well, stuff happens in trading and, but we would have had a very nice, run here, coming out of that lower high box and running all the way up to the higher low box. Now, what would I do here? I'm now in that higher low box. Okay, my thinking cap goes back on. Is this thing going to go and continue up, or is it going to stumble? I mean, I'm up a lot of pips right now. I'm going to say, you know what? Maybe it's time to get out and just hold on to my profits, or maybe I go and say, you know what, this thing's starting to retract off of that big run a little bit and starting to go towards the edge of that box again. Maybe it's time to get out for that reason, and we talked about yesterday about stacking on. Maybe this is a place that once it becomes obvious it's going to continue up, maybe this is a place to stack on. Unfortunately, I can't tell you what to do. All I can tell you is what the options are. And you as a trader have to sit down and figure out, what is the best option for you to take? And, what is your game plan? What do you do? And that's where you spend a lot of time. For me anyway, I trade for a couple hours in the morning. And especially in the beginning when I was first learning how to trade, I spent a couple hours trading in the morning, and then I spent many hours after that sitting down and gaming it. In other words, sitting down and figuring out, looking at my trades, looking at what I should have done, looking at what I shouldn't have done. The thing is, Harry hindsight's a killer. But the thing is, sometimes Harry can give you some insights. Harry doesn't go and help you out, other than the fact that maybe gives you some insights of some things that you can be looking for next time.
Right, and one thing that I've noticed is you don't want to be too anxious, reversing off of these moves. And that's one of the reasons why, we like to look at the ranges. So, for example, here on M30, we've got a big 30 pipper. So, yeah, maybe the range is done for this. So now you can look for a reversal trade. And in fact, it just happened right here. It broke out. There's 3-4 pips coming out of that higher low box. But there was a couple on the way up that it was kept moving up. So one of the things is you have to look here. This is basically a big candle, and it's usually going to be followed by a small candle in the same direction. So you can see price quit making new highs right here. And then so on this one, when it broke to the downside, it's like, hey, maybe you take that chance. And right now, if you would have nailed it at 81, you'd be up 5 pips. But as you can see, on this next candle, it just popped back the other way. So the question is, you take your 5 pips and wait for another trade, because these trades happen all day long. So, fellow traders, the fastest 15 minutes in trading is up. And if you have any questions on the higher low, lower high trade, let us know, and we maybe will even do a part 2. Because it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.